Greetings and welcome back. A bit of housekeeping before I proceed with the video. So there was a significant time gap between my previous video and this one, and the reasons for that are well known to you by now, mostly due to the fact that I had a lot of logistical nonsense to deal with revolving around the move. I've now moved to my new place, which is a significant downgrade compared to the last one in most respects. And that in itself is an interesting story because it says a lot about the German housing market, and there are politics, in fact, involved in that. And so maybe a video might be forthcoming on that, going into politics and how it relates to the housing market and immigration. In any event, neither here nor there. I'm set up here for the time being. The internet connection is not mine. It belongs to the previous tenant, and I don't know how long it's going to last, but it works to some degree, and so we'll make use of it. I've ordered a new installation, and yada, yada, yada. Anyway, on to business. That's really boring, but for now I have some internet, and I'm getting set up. I don't find the topic of Weinstein terribly interesting. Otherwise, I would have made a video much earlier on regarding him and what he did, but there were enough people asking me questions, particularly a couple of private messages asking me to comment on this, and so if I get enough interest, then I will make a video on a topic if people really think it's a compelling topic. Now, I don't know if I can offer a whole lot in the way of new perspectives, although I do think I can offer one somewhat differentiated, nuanced perspective that has been missing. Now, a lot of people have already stated regarding Weinstein that, all these women for years and years offered no commentary, and they just went along with it. It was an insider secret, as it were. There was even a sitcom episode citing his tendencies. And I don't condone what he did, and I don't really support it. I find that type of behavior in general to be fairly boorish and uncouth. But whatever. It is what it is. And let's be honest, this is something that's been going on since time immemorial, since humanity has been on the scene, or civilization at least, that men in power will use their power to take advantage, if you want to use that term, of that power and curry sexual favor. Now, Harvey Weinstein is exceptionally unattractive, and so he had that as a disadvantage going from, but obviously very wealthy and huge status, a lot of influence. But there's one thing that I've not heard mentioned in all the talk of this. Now, if you look at I think we're up to 70 now, 70 victims or so. The 70 victims, give or take, who have come out of the closet, as it were, as victims and the abused of the not-so-great Harvey Weinstein, well, there is a recurrent theme with virtually all of them. There are a few exceptions, but the vast majority of them. And that is that with almost no exceptions, there are a few, they're all either just past the wall or significantly past the wall. And you can see it in the photo. There's some examples of them. Ashley Judd, Gwyneth Paltrow, Angelina Jolie, etc. You can see the lines and the creases. Now, why come out now? Why come out now? Well, my hypothesis is you come out now when your sexual marketplace value has so deteriorated that you can no longer garner or curry favor with it. And let's be honest, most of these women now have successful careers. They're sort of implanted in Hollywood. And so they can probably get work without necessarily being propositioned. But let's be honest, this has been going on since forever, particularly in Hollywood. And this has been going on far longer in the case of men and women. Men with status and power will not, well, I was going to say will attract women, although Harvey Weinstein is very unattractive, and so it's difficult to see that. But certainly they will use their status and power to gain access, sexual access. That's just normal. And many, if not most women, are receptive to it. There's there's no doubt in my mind that there is some number of women who were propositioned by Weinstone, and maybe he came on to them, whatever, and they turned him down flat out and had no interest and just left. And maybe these women were the types of women who ended up taking your orders for fries and hamburgers at some cheap-ass fast food place. So, to me, it's just, that's the way it works. You look good, reasonably speaking, and you want a job, and that's how you get into Hollywood. I'm not saying that's a good thing. Ideally, one, male or female, would get into acting positions, renowned acting positions, due to pure talent, independent of other factors. But, as we all know, looks are very important, even for men. If you have looks, you can go very far. Did Brad Pitt, and Brad Pitt I think is actually a legitimately good actor, but did he get into Hollywood originally just because he was a good actor, or was it because he was, let's be honest, a very handsome guy at the time as a young man? The same applies to women. Many of you might know the halo effect, this sort of effect that surrounds a person, a psychological term, whereby the entirety of the person and the way that people perceive the person is elevated. So the person might be a 9.5 in terms of looks, dumb as rocks and not particularly personable, but the looks compensate, and so there's a sort of misperception field that floats about him, and so you get this idea that he's something that he's not. Well, I mean, looks are very important. It's undeniable, and that plays a role certainly in Hollywood. Of course, there are a few exceptions, purely in terms of talent, when it comes to Hollywood, but there aren't many. I think Morgan Freeman's a great example of a guy who got into Hollywood or achieved success when he was significantly older, and certainly he was never a good-looking guy, but pure talent in Morgan Freeman's case. But yeah, this doesn't shock anyone, but here's the thing. They started this MeToo hashtag thing. In fact, it was Melissa Alano, who used to star in sitcoms in the 80s, who's well into her 40s, i.e. past the wall, who started this MeToo, if it affected you. And this is sort of the sisterhood in operation. Now, I would hedge, or rather I would venture to guess that there are aspiring actresses in Hollywood who are using their sexual capital to gain access to roles and gain access to positions. And they probably don't like the whole whistleblowing thing, because they know that's possibly their only ticket in some cases, maybe not in most. I don't really know what the stats are exactly. And so all these older women past the wall blowing the whistle, I mean, I suspect this behavior will be ongoing. Not in the case of Weinstone. He looks like he's really been thrown under the bus, and that's an interesting topic in itself. Get into it in a bit. But I think that they probably still, if you're a 22-year-old aspiring actress, you still have, I'll be generous, 8 years to make use of your sexual marketplace value capital and your attractive capital. You don't want all these over the hill, post-wall women saying, well, she's really bad and this shouldn't be the case. And as has been pointed out by many, I don't need to point out again, but none of these women came out earlier. They didn't come out when it happened en masse. Now, some people have claimed the reason is, I think it was Lauren Southern who claimed this. The reason for that was because nobody wants to be the first person to point the finger at somebody. And, yeah, there's some merit to that, possibly. But I think it's because most of these people knew that their sexual marketplace value was still very well intact, say in the 90s in the case of Paltrow or what have you. And you just don't want to screw that up. That's an asset. Your physicality, your physical looks are a huge, possibly the biggest asset in life in certain venues, and absolutely in the case in Hollywood. I would argue that looks can easily trump your ability to act in most cases, particularly if you're a female, especially if you're a female. So there is a kind of sisterhood action going on here. but it's a sisterhood action of the sisterhood past the wall. How do women stay relevant when they're past the wall? Well, that's a good question. Now, I don't think Angelina Jolie is a particularly bad actress. I also don't think she's particularly good. But there's no doubt she used to be gorgeous. She used to be very, very attractive before she suffered from all these strange things that she suffers from. But why not? She claims she warned people about it. Didn't really talk very loud. They weren't speaking too loudly about it. How do you stay relevant? Well, if you're not talented and you haven't been doing good stuff that is largely independent of your looks as a female, then post-wall, you're basically screwed. You ain't got nothing to contribute, bitch, effectively. And so this is what you do. You caterwaul, you make lots of noise, you start hashtags like Alyssa Milano, MeToo, it happened to me too, oh, the sympathy, the cries. Like I said, I don't approve of Weinstein's behavior. I think it's boorish and uncouth. As I said, it's not, certainly wouldn't be my style. But that's just the way the world is and the way it works. This whole idea of how things ought to be. Well, they all went along with it, and even as I make this video, as I'm speaking, there's probably some young aspiring actress sucking some Hollywood producer's dick, maybe even enjoying it if he's not too bad looking. Maybe not. Maybe it's just work for her. But trying to get on with her career, and it's going to help her. And I guarantee you, well, maybe I won't guarantee, I almost guarantee you that if looks are an asset, then they absolutely do not want to forfeit that asset for the sake of a bunch of harridans who are well past the wall. Now, on a final note, I think what's interesting about the Weinstein case is not just that the vast majority of the accusers and what have you are women, but also, of course, that a lot of the statute of limitations, I don't think it would even be applicable in many cases. But it is, I think, a demonstrable case of, effectively, the WQ trumping the JQ. Hollywood, as you know, is, well, basically run by the tribe. And the tribe has even admitted this on several occasions. But it just goes to show that the WQ is a more potent force in certain circumstances than the JQ. Same thing with this guy Tobak, this other director who is a member of the tribe. So that's an interesting side note. And then there's a Spacey business that came out recently, and I mean, it's not shocking. No, it's not. It's all this stuff is very predictable if you understand a bit about human psychology and human evolution. And on a final side note, or final note rather, if Harvey Weinstein had been attractive, in addition to his money, power, and status, I mean, the women would have just loved it. And apparently had lots of affairs, too, on the side. And everyone knew about this stuff. Yeah, it's just human nature. Human nature in operation, and people being stupid and acting stupid. And women desperately trying to stay relevant long after their expiration date had passed. Oh well, boo-hoo, cry me a river. Now, if you had been a woman who said, no, I'm not going to go down this route despite your looks, hey, more power to you. Then I might even respect you. But they all went along with it. And now they're expressing their regret jointly on a fucking Twitter page with hashtag MeToo. No, I don't think so. Anyway, those are my thoughts. It's just a bunch of whingy, whiny, caterwauling women post-wall who feel that they've lost relevance, and this is a good way of them remaining relevant in light of these things. And they certainly didn't think it was relevant to rant about it prior to all of this business. But looks like, for all practical intents and purposes, that Weinstein's career is over. Maybe he'll be able to live comfortably, I imagine, but that's about it. No tragedy there. Barely knew about it, never was a fan, so don't really fucking care either way. Anyway, more to come, I hope, as long as I get a proper internet connection. And we'll see how long I last in this new place. It is less than ideal. Well, those are my thoughts on the Weinstein business. And I will check you out in a forthcoming video. You take care, and hope you're all well. Bye-bye. If you liked this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you enjoy my content, please consider making a donation or becoming a patron. Thanks for watching.